morning. Today is 13th of July. Yeah, today's topic is valuation, and valuation topic is one of the, I guess, toughest for some, and then probably medium to tough for most. So this paper is one of the papers that people fail also in part two. However, it's not as to me, it's not as tough as unimaginable. So it is not as tough as property tax, but then it also a bit mimic similar to property tax because there are a lot of calculation. So this part two paper is something which some people may call it killer lah. But I guess if you use your strategy to do the maths, then you should be able to complete the questions or the calculation question in a short span of time, and then move on to those definition answers, those answers where you need to write and score marks. So let us begin. Okay, let me put this as in the mode for seeing the areas of questions. Area of questions in this paper, very big calculation paper. There is a valuation mathematics section, and also one which is related to law a bit on valuation. That is a method of valuation, but this subject doesn't really ask the law part lah. Maybe the law part would be in a higher level in the this RISM, Royal Institute of Surveyors Malaysia PMVS paper. So for our level, diploma in estate agency level, this valuation paper is just touch and go lor. So not so much of law related questions. So this even law is more like a general understanding rather than having to quote cases. The other area of the test of this paper is general topics or common investment topics, because valuation paper in the future would be termed as or change its name to valuation and investment. So investment is one part which is going to take more emphasis for this paper, because as an estate agent we are not valuer, so we do not actually give valuation answer or valuation quotes to our clients. We can actually only say we would get the comparison from the internet, and then roughly the price is between maybe a few 100,000 to another few 100,000. So for a semi-D, for example, you can use quotes like, this semi-D at this area is around 800,000 to 1 million, but we are unable to provide valuation figure like, this is valued as by the bank as how much, because the bank goes back to the valuer for quotes. So we should not, as an estate agent, give valuation quotes to our clients. Let us move on. This one I want to blow it big because it is important. The problems that will be asked in this question, this subject is likely into four main areas. Where are the four main areas? Okay, 1 and 2 is calculation based. So this 1 and 2 is annuity lah, compound interest lah, and then the B is like number 2 is like comparing project A to project B, and then project A has income of how much, expenses of how much, and then project B is how much and how much, and then you actually count which is a better investment. So this is more to area of involving in appraisal. So appraisal and investment related questions on calculation. The third area, which is I likely asked also, and also in form of a more general question, would be outgoings, the terminology used, the definition of rate of return, the years purchase, net income, property versus share, in terms of a bit of essay writing, comparing investment in share market, in investment in property, what are the various parameters used, measurement used, and how the economy will affect this return. So this is one part I guess most people would want to answer and score some marks there. The last is the part 4, which is actually valuation method. So being a paper on valuation, it has a component of the valuation methods. So the valuation methods, we just touch and go. There are a few methods that would be touched on, and then there will be questions. Maybe out of 8 questions to choose, probably 2 will be on valuation methods. So they will throw out probably the majority of the question is in investment and calculation mathematics, rather than asking all about valuation method, which will be a core valuation higher level paper. So what are the valuation methods has been touched on is a cost method, income method, residual method, and comparison method. So we move on. So this is the syllabus, which I don't want to go through, quite lengthy. You can go through the syllabus in detail in the website, estateagentexam.com website. The syllabus is copied and pasted verbatim from the second edition, 1st of January 2005. You can get this booklet from the board of valuers, appraisers, estate agents, and property managers in KL. And just to summarize, the potential question can come out from a few of these topics. I list out here 5 characteristics of property and the property market. Basically about property value, how the market affects the value, the factors that affect the supply and demand, therefore it affects the price, the value, the cost, the factor affecting rental. So these are questions that quite commonly asked, and is a essay, argument, or explanation type of question. Then there will be more calculation type now, the rates of return, the income, also the outgoing, the relationship between rental value and the net income. It's also the methods of valuation, which I mentioned earlier. And this is important because there will be always a few questions on this. And then valuation mathematics, which is the net present value, discount cash flow, rate of return, annuity, compound interest. These are the key areas that a lot of people tends to be worried about all these calculations. So most people, when they are worried about this calculation, they go to exam and try to tackle this calculation question, and they just probably get even more worried as they cannot get the correct formula, or they are worried about using the wrong formula. Then end up the whole much of the rest of the writing also get affected. So as like earlier summaries of exam papers, I do this prediction and also repeat topics. So I take no responsibility. I like to disclaim that if any chance that the question come out can be similar, it is all coincidence. This is the analysis from 2011 to 2018. So I will go into the details. Understanding valuation questions. This one I would want to make a better explanation, because valuation questions are into a few general types. One is the calculation type, where actually you get the very simplified one sentence or 2 sentences, and there's not much of case study, writing a paragraph asking you to understand the question and then comment. You give your comment. So valuation questions are quite short for calculation questions, like one question, one sentence, and then there will be part questions inside one of let's say major question, 20 marks. There will be 5 sub questions, each will be 4 marks. And then these sub questions, there will be either calculation, either give you a short question, ask you to see yes or no and why. So this is the type of question that you can target, and even out of the 5 questions, you may not get all correct. You still get good marks of passing, because of the sub area where usually there is very high chance that you get a few marks per part. Maybe one part 4 marks, you may get even 2 marks if you just basically write a few sentences. So this is a way to score this paper. So do not get scared, because it is a lot of calculation, and therefore you see this type of sub questions, and then you back off, and then you go and target some of the definition question, and this definition question may get a bit technical, and then you get the wrong definition, then the whole question is all answered wrong. So blow this again to a better view. Maybe I blow it out to a bigger view. Mathematics for the calculation, the one particular way that they ask is, as I said, one question got 4 or 5 sub questions. And always this question is question 4 lah. In the last 2 or 3 years, this appears in question 4, and therefore you have a simple one two sentence thing about somebody put money in the investment, and therefore how much he'll get end of the investment, or somebody wanted to take out how much money to repair every year, and then how much he should keep inside the account, so that at the end of it there is a periodical payout. So these are issues about present value annuity calculation. So this is one of the questions that if you are good at, you should target this type of question, and you can complete that question in a very short span of time. If you are good in mathematics and memory of quite correct use of the formula, or you know which formula to use, this will be a question that you can finish in less than 10 minutes. So this is good if you are mathematically you are the person who geared to mathematics. So it's like, how much to pay now for the total return of how much. So compound interest, how much monthly to pay if you want to fix sums of investment in the how many years later. And then you can have situation that are quite complicated one, like this guy has been paying his mortgage, and then this mortgage is now to the end, like let's say only left with 5 years. Now he has issue, he wants to take more money, or he wants to put more money. Then the remaining years, how much per month he has to pay. So that will be a more complicated scenario lah. Of course, there is a complicated formula you can use, but to understand to use that formula, you use it correctly. That means you need to be sure, and therefore I would recommend lah, if you are good in all these mathematics, attempt this question. If you are not good in mathematics, then avoid this question entirely. Appraisal and explanation. This is another area of mathematics whereby they ask questions like investment return, how much put in every year, or this project has got how many years of construction, every year how much they put in, what is the income that they generate, and then project A versus project B over a certain period of time, and then you evaluate whether project A or B is better, in what way is better with the market interest rate. So maybe they'll ask in the third part, okay, now the bank borrowing rate goes up to another percentage, so which one is better, and which one is better with respect to the new interest condition. So see, this is a discount cash flow method, or net present value method. Years purchase also can be here. Years purchase we will explain a little bit more later. It's quite an important area and always will come out. So let's move on to maybe a simple one, which is this one, which is project A, project B. This is 2017 question 5. Then they give you year 0 to year 6, and then project cost for first year going in is 300,000. First year later is 200,000, and then subsequently this project value will generate value, so project will start earning value. So this type of project, how much is it going to give you, and then what is the calculation for its value so total value, how much should this project give back in the subsequent after 6 years. So this is a type of simple, but to some people, calculation, when it involves calculation, some people will get annoyed. So this is the type of situation for valuation paper. So again, I blow it to different paper type. This is a property investment question, so they can actually ask this type of investment return, risk and return, comparing A to B. So it can be questions like you are renting a property, and then this property give you return of how much per month for how many years, and later you have another property which is maybe a commercial property, and then the return is how much, and then therefore risk is high, and then you got to do all the calculation and end up saying that investment A is better than investment B, or vice versa. So years purchase, there is a calculation, and this calculation usually need to be memorized. So this calculation formula it usually will be asked, and then say that, okay, now instead of selling the property, you are renting the property at this price rental every month, and then this rental for every month is considered perpetual lah. That means forever lah. You're going to rent this property at this monthly rental, and how much would the property actually in value now? So years purchase would be able to estimate that amount lor. So in this scenario, it is a question asked, more like investment question lah. So the part three is definition and investment. Just now, part one is calculation. Part two also calculation, but in appraisal, that means you calculate more on the project on higher level. For part one is more like, somebody save money in the bank, and then out of 6 years of saving, how much at the end he will get. That is a part A, the part one type question. So part two type of question is comparing project A, project B, more like appraisal. The part C or part three is definition. There is a lot more to calculate in the part A, part one and part two. But then part three, which is giving definition, no more calculation. You just need to give like what is rate of return, what is years purchase, what is outgoing, what is net income, characteristic of property investment versus characteristic of share market investment. What are the factors that influence property value? So this type of question, I guess most people can write well. So this is a type of question that you should score also. And then definition of years purchase. All these definitions, some people need to memorize. Some people can actually memorize wrongly and then write the wrong definition. Also, it's quite dangerous if you write a wrong definition. That means the whole answer you'll be very little mark. So this is quite challenging, but not as much as you remember the law sections and law case law. So this is understanding at the same time need to memorize the terminology used. So in this case, the amount yield by an annual income of property used in expressing the value of a thing in a number of years required for its income to yield its purchase price in computing the amount to be paid annuities. So meaning to say, if you say you have an income, rental income of a property, which is 1,000 ringgit every month, and then now you're going to say, okay, this 1,000 ringgit forever I'm going to receive for this property. How much would the property cost now? Should be sold now. So what is the price the property should be selling now for this type of income that is coming in the future? So years purchase would give you this definition. Yes, there is a multiple which you can use to come up with the price, which will be the value. So essay writing type is like, as I said just now, characteristic of property investment, characteristic of rubber estate or condominium investment. These are questions that was asked in the past year, which was quite some years ago. But lately, there will be less of this type of very comparative, investment in rubber estate or investment in condominium. So this type of questions are now less. Apparently, it's more to writing about more of share market compared to property investment, or mutual fund compared to property investment, or in the case of probably in the new scenario will be say, the real estate investment trust, the REIT compared to direct property investment. What are the differences, investment outcomes? So these are questions that you can target and score, because probably quite similar. Most people will write similar answers, so they will be getting about average marks, passing marks. So these are passing marks that you can add into your ability to pass the exam. If you are able to score the mathematics, then this one will assist you to pass the exam. Next is about valuation methods. So these valuation methods is actually interesting, because valuation methods they are called four methods. So comparison method is the common use method. That means now we go to the bank person, saying that we need a quote for our customer, so to get a loan. So this bank officer would have his panel of valuers. So you call up his panel of valuers and then give the particulars of the property. And after that, the valuer would check. How do they check? They check with the recent transacted property along the same maybe street along in the same taman. So this is comparison method. So there will be other methods that can be used. If there has been no transaction for the last 6 or 8 years, then they may have to think of other methods, maybe depreciation cost method, maybe using generation of profit, the investment profit method, or for a developer, maybe they will use development method, meaning to say how many people employed to work on this development, what are the cost of consultant fee, the land cost, everything. Then over time, this cost added in, then eventually, the selling and everything. Then end up the land. Actually, the land is in the earlier days when it was a jungle, it was zero cost. So now you minus out all these expenditure, and then the selling price minus all the expenditure of employing people to build and employing people to work on the project. Then you have the residue, which is the land cost. So this is the idea of how residual method of valuation works in this particular valuation method answer lah. So you probably need to explain why and how it comes out with the land value lor. So comparison method, as I said just now, is commonly used in the market. Development method is like developer gross development value, and then come up with the net, which is the land value. Then the profit income, the investment purpose, the potential of earning the income. So if you have example, a commercial building, then it can be rented, and then this rental will be collected for potential earning, and then have to minus out all the outgoings. Those are employed of property managers all the cleaners all these costs will be taken out, and then end up you have a potential income of the net income of the investment. So this net income must be equivalent or higher than the value of the property. Then you have the cost method, which are usually associated with depreciation method, which is used in property that is hard to value for the fact that there is no comparison, like airport stadium or building historical building. It came out in 2017 question. So this is one of the method you can use to value the replacement cost. That means to replace some of the parts of the building, which is old building. Then you can say, okay, the cost of replacement is added together. Then that would be able to reflect the value of the old building. So let us move on to what you should avoid. So these type of questions in valuation is either you know how to calculate, the answer becomes correct, and then you get 100% marks for that sub question, or you are totally wrong. You totally wrong. Maybe the steps of calculation could be right, but the answer is wrong. That part you can get some marks. But if let's say you use the wrong formula, of course the answer is wrong. So the totally devastated, totally no marks for that sub question. So if you don't know, don't pretend you know. So this type of questions in valuations, either it is valuation methods where you do not understand the method, then don't answer. Because when you answer wrongly, the method is not like that, then you answer it confused between cost method and residual method. Cost method and development method. Then if you confuse, then either the chance is 50% lah. You may strike lottery, you can answer, although it's entirely by chance that you actually correctly put it in the particular method. But you can be totally wrong, if you confuse the two methods and then answer wrongly, then you will be totally out. No point, no marks. So formula also, you use the wrong formula also out, totally out. And then definition also, if you remember the definition wrongly, also totally out. So in a valuation paper, it's not like you can goreng one. Nothing you can goreng here. Only part you can goreng maybe is the part that is more to like factors affecting the value. So sometimes you it's quite general understanding lah. So that type of question you can answer. Everybody also can answer anyway. So how to pass this paper? You have to target the calculations. Cannot be avoided one. This one, for this paper, you have to target calculation, because out of the questions, there will be definitely one or two or three calculation based questions. Target the definition questions. So these are short definitions that you can answer. Even the whole question, you can answer 3 out of 5. It is good enough. Aware of the valuation methods, meaning to say you actually need to be quite aware what are the differences between the methods. And if the question asks you valuation method, a particular valuation method, you cannot answer in totality. You can at least answer the concept, the way it is applied. So therefore, it is in order to get a average mark lah, average passing mark lah. So don't be afraid. Basically, these questions are supposed to be three types, just to answer the worries. One is calculation type. So the calculation type of question, you need more practice. You practice all the past year. Second is the definition type of question. So you need to know what are definition you need to remember. So you memorize them lah. And then when it comes to exam, the same is asked, you just vomit out lah. You just regurgitate your answer. Third is the valuation method. You need to understand these methods and then try to explain your own words before you go to the exam hall. You try to understand it in a simple, distinctively different method. Then there is no confusion. So when you go to the exam hall, you at least do not get confused one method over the other method and then answer the wrong method, which is been asked. So for examination purpose, this is examination management. 3-hour paper, 5 questions out of 8. So I would suggest that these are the way to answer and choose your answers, choose your questions. One question fully calculation. If you are good in mathematics, this will be done in less than 10 minutes. One question on discount cash flow or net present value. This also, if you are good, in fact, draw a table and use a table format, then you can finish up in quite a systematic manner. This can be done in probably less than half an hour or so. So this is like if you are an accountant or accounting trend, this is easy lah. Third is definition part and also investment issue, investment part, which I put an arrow on the other side, which is factor affecting value, price versus value versus cost. They will ask this type of more like theory question. So understanding of the basic how the application of certain concepts, economic concept or certain type of marketing concept, then you increase the value of the properties. So this is a cross-border lah. Maybe marketing also involved, economics also involved, land economics also involved. So this type of question is quite easy to score. Then last is the valuation method question where you target maybe one or two. So usually valuation method question come out as in standard lah, maybe 2 questions. So you target one lah, and then calculation question target one also. So the remaining you just choose in between. Maybe that is the way you can answer about 3 good answers and 2 average answers. Then you should be able to pass this paper. So as I want to summarize, overview of the subject paper, we went through D09 principle of evaluation, quite difficult subject to pass for some. Types of questions I have gone through, different types of questions will be asked, like mathematical questions, investment appraisal question, discount cash flow, net present value method, project A versus project B, definition, what is the year's purchase, this type of question, which is quite memory driven. Valuation method question, which is like, as I said, 4 types of valuation methods. What are the pitfalls? Pitfalls for this type of paper is people tend to go in and then try to rush over the calculation question. And then the calculation question scared them. Then they say, whether I'm sure or not, this is the way to calculate, this formula correct or not. And then the whole thing get jammed up. So maybe when you go in, your mind still fresh. If you face problem with the calculation question, then cross the calculation straight away, because that can be just in 10 minutes. You cross out, where's the amount of time is okay. Then you move on to the rest. I don't think you should keep the calculation question to the end, because your mind can be quite exhausted when you work on the other questions and then leave it to calculation, and the calculation to the last, maybe you are also unable to think. So even worse. So I guess tackling the answering the valuation questions, go to the calculation question first. So how to improve? You improve by more practice on calculation question, and then memorize those definitions, and then understand all the different types of methods of valuation, so that you don't get confused. Thank you very much for today's video. Watching today's video, I hope it was not too complicated and too lengthy for most who already done this paper. Hopefully you can pass in the subsequent exam, and just follow your heart, in the sense that you are good with calculations, then go and target the calculation and finish up the calculation questions in less than the amount of time. Then you left with yourself a long time for doing all the other questions. Sometimes this is the way to do it. Target and face the fear. Okay, thank you so much. And examination is coming up very soon in less than a month's time. So if you need to go to search, you can try and do the search in the estateagentexam.com, which I want to show a bit now. If you go to the website, if you type valuation methods and you search, this is the few good summaries that you can read lah. Methods of property valuation. This is quite a good reading. So if you want to go in and just clear yourself with some of the different methods, so this particular layout of article gives a good summary lah. Comparison method of valuation, investment method of valuation, residual method of valuation, cost method of valuation, profit method of valuation, discount cash flow, how discount cash flow can be used in valuation lah. So this is probably one of the easy article to read. And then also, other than that, maybe use the uh, previously 2015 questions, cost method evaluation, and then you have other quite easily reachable topics near to method of property appraisal. This is actually not a past year question. These are all questions that I have designed myself and then gathered from some of the good sources in the public domain, and then share with you all here. So in fact, going into this website to search under valuation method, you can actually read quite a few articles that you crystallize your thoughts, so that you can target the exam in a clearer manner. And then lastly, thank you. Estateagentexam.com is an online portal for taking the diploma in estate agency certificate from the Board of Valuer, Appraiser, Estate Agent, and Property Managers. My tagline: know your position, crystallize your vision and mission to be different. Thank you so much. Bye bye.